Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy, CIZZY, back at it again with another episode of the Voices of Value podcast. We are live in Overland Park at Leo Moreno Jr. Boxing Club. Make sure you guys Google that right now. Leave a 5-star review. If you're looking for some boxing vibes to go get that work in, maybe your son is showing potential, but you need to sharpen up the edges. Maybe your daughter's about that life. Pull up to Leo Moreno Jr. Boxing Club in Overland Park. With that being said, you already know the vibes, ladies and gentlemen. There's agreement between me and you and me. If we're going to remain friends, you have to click that bell. Subscribe, get notified, know when episodes are coming out. Comment, interact, share with friends. It is the only way the VOV podcast can grow, ladies and gentlemen. Me and the guests that I have on the show can talk all we want, but if you don't subscribe, if you don't share, if you don't comment, there's really no reason for us to keep doing this. So make sure you support by pressing the subscription button, notification button, and push this shit out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with local and national business news. So let's start with local, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing that I did want to mention and just shout out is Male Mental Health, Norwich FC Soccer Club in the UK. You said second division. I don't know if it matters to anybody that doesn't really watch soccer, so forget about that. That's not even the point. They dropped a video, about a 90-second video, where basically they showed two guys in their mid-50s coming to game after game after game sitting down. And one guy's like chatting with him, and he like taps him every time they come down. He's like, man, that was a good goal. Or dang, how are things out of life? And the other guy's always stoic at every game, just mad stoic, like, oh, good. Just looking like this, looking like he's the sad one. And the other guy's mad, energetic, like, hope everything's good outside of football, right? Since we suck, right? Just whatever. These vibes for like 6-7 games. And then one time, the guy who was always looking stoic and sad shows up without the really happy guy. And it has like quotes across the back that says, sometimes it's obvious that people are struggling. And then it shows the face of the guy who they thought would be the one who would not be happy with their life. And that he's the one that's alive. And the other guy, he just puts like a memorable in his chair because he's not there anymore. And he's like, and sometimes it's not. So reach out. So I thought it was a really powerful video. It's a video that's going viral right now. You can go watch it, Norwich FC Male Mental Health YouTube video. And just wanted to take this moment to shout out to all the bros. If you're out there struggling, make sure you reach out to somebody. Know that you have somebody to talk to, whether it's, one of your friend groups, people in your friend group. Maybe it's a lady, maybe it's your dog, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your pops, maybe it's your uncle. There's people out there that love you. Make sure you reach out for help. If one person doesn't respond, reach out to the next one. I know it's hard. I know it's challenging, but just wanted to send love y'all way because I know there's a lot of males out there that ain't getting enough attention for their mental health. In the fitness space, there's a lot of body dysmorphia in the male population. So just wanted to send that love out there. On to local business news. Have you heard of Meg Curate?
I have not.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Milad and I went to the AI Club at Select Quote I don't know what day that was, but Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night at Select Quote, which is an insurance company here in the Overland Park area, who is launching their own in-house like AI division where they're trying to learn more about artificial intelligence and how they can implement it into their insurance business and just help optimize processes, right? And so there's another gentleman there who runs Kovac.ai.
Yes.
And I believe he's the person who created the AI Club and then got Select Quote behind it because of, Select Quote's AI division. I don't quite...
I think he's tied to Select Quote. I think he was an employee, or maybe still
was an employee, still is. Some
advisory or something
relationship. Nonetheless, Select Quote AI Club, and we're there. The first lady that stood up to talk was talking about Pure Pitch Rally. I think it was the name of it. Pure Pitch Rally. Basically, she just kept talking about we give entrepreneurs free money. We give entrepreneurs free money.
Great offer, by the way.
Say again?
Great offer, by the way.
Yeah, which is a great offer. Yeah, shout out Alex Ramosi. Anyways, that's all I think about when I hear the word offer at the end of the day. But she kept talking about that, and then I saw her or Pure Pitch Rally pop up on Startland News today, and next to it was the name or the number $24,000 and the company name MedCurate, which is ran by a lady by the name of Ashley McKellen, who used to work in the healthcare industry and then started MedCurate, which combines white label technology and expertise through an app that provides healthcare professionals an opportunity to like work when needed, essentially, is my understanding. It's kind of like the gig economy for medical professionals. So it kind of helps optimize efficiency of like, staffing and staffing issues and staffing challenges, staffing requirements, and allows for hospitals and other organizations to kind of manage demand by tapping into the gig economy. So go ahead.
I was going to say, that's kind of crazy, actually.
Tell me more.
To think about the nursing and medical field as like a gig economy, because it kind of is, right?
That's exactly. I've never thought about it outside of nurses. Let me say that, because the reason I say that is because I'm well aware of the travel nursing industry and how people leave for 3 months and get these opportunities to just go pop into a hospital that needs nurses, and they can go anywhere in the country and kind of choose. They just kind of get, here are your options, choose. You go there for 3 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 weeks, and they pay you a little bit higher pay because you're going to be worked a lot of hours. They need you a lot, so then you can demand high. You demand higher pay. And they give you
like a stipend for travel,
and then they give you a stipend for travel and lodging and things like that. And so I'm aware of that, and in a way, that's gig economy. Really,
I never thought to think of it as the gig economy, right? But it totally is. It's the same thing as like door dashing and Uber and all that, right? Mm-hmm. Same model, right?
Exactly.
Servicing a bunch of different people. It's not like you're stuck in one place. But yeah, I mean, doctors do the same thing.
Yes,
doctors are like
true.
3 different hospitals in the same day.
Yeah,
it's like, that's incredible. So
and having a technology that kind of just makes that a lot more easier. I could see how that could be beneficial. Now, I only got the baseline explanation of MedCurate, but one thing I am going to do this week is spend some time going deeper on it to see how like the platform actually works and what really makes it impactful and beneficial. And I kind of encourage our followers and our listeners to kind of interact with us when it comes to the businesses that we talk about on the show. I want you guys to also go out there and take a look at these businesses. Tell us in the comment section why you think it, or even email us and be like, this is why I think this company is valuable, or this is why I think this company is shit. And we can actually put that into some of our episodes. I think that could be fun in terms of having our listeners interact with us and hear your business ideas, your business concepts, and your opinions on some of the businesses we mentioned. But they're awarded $24,000 from Pure Pitch Rally, so I guess that lady was not lying when she says we give entrepreneurs money. Just a little bit of local business news. Anytime money's involved, we're gonna drop a little segment where we're like, hey, this company got this bag. Because anytime money is given to a company, it kind of shows a sense of, there's some potential for this company to have some validity in the space or in the market, if that makes sense. That's my belief, is if they're going to give you any money, somebody has to believe in you. If somebody believes in you, there's some tiny room, a space in the market for you. So I always feel like it's fun to mention.
Absolutely. Shout out to MedCurate and Ashley for raising money in this economy.
Ashley, I keep wanting to call her. Never mind. Anyways.
Great job. Great work.
Great work. National business news is really just, once again, we got to talk about that guy, Elon Musk, which, by the way, I heard a hilarious story about Elon Musk being at I forgot what happened. I don't know who he was talking to or who was on this podcast, but some cat somehow develops a relationship with Post Malone. Post Malone comes into LA. He's like, hey, I'm in LA. Like, let's kick it. They go to kick it with Post Malone at a bar. They're drinking a little bit. And then Elon Musk calls Post Malone and is like, yo, pull up to my crib. Post Malone and then these random podcast guys are like, I guess we're going to Elon Musk's crib. They pull up to Elon Musk's crib. And it's like, apparently he bought like 3 cribs in the same neighborhood. So this is the hangout crib, not the home crib. You know what I'm saying? So they pull up there and they're just like outside chatting shit about random things, but Elon wasn't really interested in them. He was just interested in chatting with Post Malone, and they're just like chatting. So anyways, I just thought that was a random funny story to throw in there. But nonetheless, Elon Musk, there was a leak from a all-hands meeting. Can you explain to anybody who doesn't understand what an all-hands meeting? I feel like that's very much a startup term, all-hands meeting. I don't know if it's a startup term, but I've only heard it in startups that I've worked for or interned for or shadowed. So what is an all-hands meeting?
All hands on deck, baby.
So everyone in the organization is on that call. essentially. Simple and easy. So during a all-hands meeting, Elon Musk apparently said he wants to turn X, aka formerly known as Twitter, into a dating app. What are your thoughts on this, Milad? What are your thoughts on Elon and his moves around Twitter in general? I feel like I don't know if you still are. I've definitely like fallen back from Twitter/X. Like I haven't used that platform as much ever since Elon took over. Not intentionally, because I think Elon's like cool ass dude, killing it in business. Obviously very, influential thinker, thinks big, tries to do big things, and I think those people are important in the world. But for some reason, I just feel like the platform's been shit the past year and a half. So thoughts on X, thoughts on this, and thoughts on Elon's business moves inside of Twitter.
It was shit before he bought it, and we still used it, and now it's even shittier. The moves he's made, Twitter's an established company. Twitter's been around since like 2001, and it's never really found the way to monetize it, and he's just acting very erratically with it. I think he has great businesses outside of Twitter. I love Starlink. I love Tesla. I think SpaceX has a lot of potential. But what are you doing with Twitter, man? Like, this is not your realm. You're like doing promotional stunts like you're going to box Mark Zuckerberg and then not actually do it. You're out here saying that you're going to charge users. You gave everybody a check mark. To me, adding dating to making X a dating app, I mean, it goes back into his thing of like trying to make X the everything app, which isn't really like an original idea, because that's what they do with WeChat in China. It's Amazon, it's Twitch, it's Facebook, it's everything. You like whatever you want to do online, you can do it through WeChat. And that's what he's trying to do with X. And when you think about what he's done with Twitter, there has not been anything strategic about it. So him adding dating to Twitter is just like, all right, we're going to copy what Facebook's doing, because now Facebook has dating and they're trying to push that. I just got on the Facebook mobile app about 2 weeks ago, and it was like, oh, hey, by the way, the dating thing, that's in your bottom menu bar now.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that. I was like, what are you talking about? You're like, it's in the menu bar. I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, a dating app. I was like, it's not a dating app. You're like, no, it has dating now.
Facebook dating is just forced upon me now. So yeah, it just seems like he's just trying to copy and do whatever he thinks will like revive the platform and get more momentum with it. Like I heard him say he was going to charge people like an extra $1 to like be a new user. So if you like wanted to make a new Twitter account, it was like cost you $1 now. But if you already have one, like you're good.
You're good.
So I don't know.
I think the only thing I like, I don't know if it's necessarily a smart business move, but the thing I do like is that he's taking massive action really fast and just trying to execute on as many ideas as possible to see which one hits. I just feel like he's not giving it enough time to like marinate and see if the community really rocks with it, and giving enough attention to one thing. Instead, he's dropping like 15 things in there to try to like monetize the platform and see which one he thinks is going to like hit the most. I'm sure there has to be some strategy behind it in terms of behind doors.
There's like 250 million people on Twitter. You cannot just do that. This is not a startup. This is an established company. Okay, if you want to do that, roll out, do what Facebook does. They're like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. We're just going to roll this feature out to like 10,000 users and just see how it goes. You know, you can't just be like changing the platform day to day and just like expect everything to be okay. There's 250 million plus people that are trying to use this platform who actually like rely on it for news. They rely on it to grow their business. They use that platform as their community. You can't just be that agile startup. Like that mentality just doesn't work when you have people that have been using your platform for 10, 15 plus years.
And it is funny though, like Twitter, when we think about it, /X, whatever we want to call it. When you think about it, it's really like a grandfather tech company. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like people really forget that it's been around for a fat minute, because it always has like a just a lot of energy around the platform every like 2 years or something, because of some, you know, I don't want to use the word scandal, but some like huge thing happens on Twitter, like, oh, they're saying whatever, Trump's polls are being messed up from that, whatever, and then or saying Trump's talking too much on Twitter, he said this, or then, you know, another time Kanye's getting canceled because he says this on Twitter. There's something huge that like makes the platform like front and center in the news and the media like every year or two.
Yeah.
And so it kind of feels like a new, and then like new users come on because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I was never on Twitter, but I got to see what Kanye's saying. I was never on Twitter, but I got to see what Trump's saying. I was never on Twitter, but now I got, you know what I'm saying? Or I was never going to get on Twitter, and now I'm definitely not getting on Twitter because Elon bought it. You know, so there's always some like attention that's been around it that's kind of brought it like front and center. When I think Twitter, I always think Gary Vee, though. Gary Vee's been on Twitter for like ever. So anyways, shout out Gary Vee. That is local and national business news, ladies and gentlemen. Our first topic of today is actually going to be around sales. So this is why I bring this up. There's a TikTok guy, right? I think the TikTok handle is Corp, but it used to be like it used to be his name, like the main creator's name, but I think he's turned it into a full-on brand now, because the content that I saw today had like a whole team of people, like a full-on skit, right? Like full-on 10 people skit. They had like image, just like it seemed like they had a full set, like an office with like funny frames and photos up on the wall. So it seems like he's turning it into a full media company around like corporate, like humor, like basically turning corporate memes into like videos, like video content.
It's at corporate.bro on TikTok.
Yes. So it's really all about corporate bros is how it started. Now they're kind of branching out into some content. And the content that I saw today was this girl who is just getting a job. And the guy's like, sorry, man, I don't really do like mentoring or anything. Don't SDRs, sales development representatives, don't SDRs have like some sort of like mentorship or some sort of onboarding process? And then it shows her like going through the onboarding role playing process. So for anybody who hasn't worked a sales job, can you explain what role playing is and why companies like try to implement that into their sales training process?
Yeah. So if you're new to an organization, there's a lot of nuance that you want to learn about the sales process. So you want to learn objection handling. You want to learn, the way that you're going to sell. And we usually call that like a talk track or, your sales process, right? Yeah. So you want to do role playing to get familiar with that process, how you're guiding that conversation, and really just maintain frame of like, okay, this is what we do. This is how we sell it. This is how we interact with you. This is what you can expect as a customer. So you're not letting them like, well, I don't know, we kind of like this, but like, can you take this thing over here and make it this other thing? And like, at that point you're like, no, that's a different product. Like, stop doing that, customer. Cause you don't go to Amazon and say, but I want to get like 2 of these for $20 instead of the one for $25. Like Amazon's not going to do that with you. So don't do that with us. Even though, you're just talking to a person, you can't get a hold of anyone on Amazon. I get it, but don't do that, So role playing is super important for getting familiar with that and building confidence. So that way, when you do get into a situation with the customer, you can actually make a sale or have the, not totally fall on your face.
Yeah. And so when she's doing this role playing effort with the hiring manager or whatever, he's like, yeah, just pretend like you're talking to a customer on the phone. And then she's like, okay. And then she's like, hi, this is Tasha from blah, 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 blah. And then the dude just like blows up and he like fake blows up. So by the way, it's like role playing. He's like, you know who you calling? He's like, get off my phone before I come over to fuck you up. Sound like you need some money the way you calling me, blah, blah, blah. Don't call me again. Beep. And then he's like, so what'd you learn from that? How did you do? And she's like, I didn't really get to talk. He's like, just try it again. And then he like repeats it again. And so what came to mind was like, how valuable really is role playing? In some of my sales roles, they've given me scripts to like read over and practice by myself. They've given me scripts to practice with like another coworker in a role-playing manner. But like, how realistic is that experience in terms of the fact that you don't know who you're going to get on the phone with? So can you really role play, or what are you going to do when you're caught in the moment? Because you're going to try to go off the script. If you try to go off the script, not only are you going to sound robotic, and that's not the greatest thing if you're a salesperson. Nobody wants to hear a robotic salesperson on the other line. But on top of that, like, you don't really know how they're going to react. They might turn around, start cussing you out. They might hang up on you immediately as you pick up. They might be extremely sweet and actually be really easy to talk to. So for you, in your opinion, how important was role playing for you in some of your sales roles? Do you think it's important? And then we'll transition into the AI part of this conversation.
Yeah, I think role playing had its place. I think a lot of people, they over depend on it. They think that it's like very crucial to have like so many reps of role play. I think there's a certain point where the returns on that are very diminishing. You'll get to a point where you're very familiar with the way that this goes. And I think it's really more important to know about the product, because the more product knowledge you have, the more organizational knowledge that you have and how the company operates, the more you can leverage that into the conversation to be able to like rebuttal and better understand where the customer's coming from. Because at the end of the day, you're just having a conversation with someone and you're trying to transfer knowledge to them and help them solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into higher ticket sales and more corporate type of things, oftentimes it just becomes like an exchangement of energy. So you're trying to hype them up about the product and get them to discover their pain and be like, oh, I really hate where I'm at right now. And oh, but there's daisies and rainbows if I buy from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You want to, get them hyped up about that. And it's very draining. So at the end of the day, I advise you stay away from that. It's going to burn you out. Unless you're that corporate dog and that's what you want to do. I don't think that's for everybody. I think it works for some people. For the majority of the population, no. You'd want to really help them solve that problem, understand where they're at, figure out the nuances of the way your solution implements with their current situation, and really help them understand okay, this is the work that's going to be involved, but if you put in that work, this is how you'll benefit and what you can do moving forward with our product or solution.
So would you say kind of role playing to me in my head is kind of like the foundation? You're developing a foundation. You're understanding how a conversation might go. You're understanding what questions you might want to ask if they have any type of objection. What objection your role play partner gives you doesn't really matter. It's just knowing what questions you can have in your handbag to ask next, which is in my opinion, the only value of role play after a certain amount of time. Sure, you understand, but like you said, the product is the most important thing to understand, because if you understand the product and you know what questions to ask to know more about somebody, all it is from there is just being able to communicate with another human in a respectful way. It's you know what questions to ask. Doesn't matter what problem they give you, you know what question to ask to understand that problem even deeper. And then at the end of the day, if you know your product offering strong enough, you're going to be this is either a good product for you or not, and this is why. And being okay. Anyways, I feel like the whole role playing thing's funny, because sometimes it can be beneficial, sometimes it can't. A lot of times, in my experience, it's just been immature 20-year-old, another immature 20-year-old, and the role playing is just kind of bullshitting around, reading through a script, and then you acting like you're a good customer, you acting like you're a bad customer, and saying funny things to make. I don't know. It's just been worthless in my experience. Yeah. I'm sure that there has been a system put together by higher quality companies that allow that role playing to be very organized, structured, and more efficient. But also, if it's organized, structured, more efficient, it's less like a real conversation. Exactly. So it's kind of confusing to me.
Double-edged sword, yeah.
Exactly. So with this in mind, I was thinking, okay, is there any technology or technology creations or any new what's the word I'm looking for? Well, fuck the word I'm looking for.
Innovation?
Innovation, thank you. Any new innovations in this space utilizing artificial intelligence to kind of help people develop a better understanding of how the sales process might go in a new company? And there actually is. And this company is called Second Nature AI. It's actually headquartered out of Israel. And basically, it is conversational AI sales training. So you are basically talking to AI, and this AI is built in a way that pretends to be a customer and can kind of challenge you or provide objections and allow you the opportunity to, handle that objection, ask questions, provide new information about your product offering and how it could be beneficial to that customer, aka the AI. And then it tracks all of your answers, all of the questions you ask. It tracks how your sentences are delivered and the energy, and kind of develops data and statistics and feedback for you and for your sales managers to kind of attack your cold calling skills, to attack your sales skills and things of that nature. There's a whole lot of other services they provide inside of that company, but at the end of the day, AI, sales, conversational training, teaching you how to communicate more effectively over the phone or in person when trying to sell your product. And they use AI to kind of mimic that customer experience. And I thought that was pretty dope. But I want to test out a demo or a trial of it to see how real the AI sounds, number one, and then how well it mimics a customer energy, or is it just a boring ass robot?
I'm assuming you train it on your
or they
sales
already
process.
Got you.
Yeah, I would assume, right? Because every business wants to do stuff differently. They have different processes, different touch points. It could be the same freaking HVAC company, but the way that they do things is just different. Sometimes you pay ahead of time, sometimes you pay after, sometimes you want to be there with the check-in, sometimes they have a checklist, sometimes they email you stuff, like whatever. It's just different. It's the same result. The way they do it is different. I think that this has a lot of potential for very large enterprises. I think that can be a huge point of savings in terms of efficiency and time, because you got to take somebody else away from doing other work to go talk to and do role play with this person. Whereas if I can just give them a bot, I can have that other person still working, have them, and then be able to score them right in real time and get feedback. Like, okay.
And then you have more information for your sales manager to like come in and like give advice on versus
really
coming in
leverage
blind.
their time, right?
Exactly.
Like these are the 3 points that we need to improve on. So let's go, 15 minutes. We'll knock out these 3 things, let you get back to it, and then we'll do the same thing again tomorrow.
Yeah, and on their website, it seems like the companies that they've listed that they're working with are pretty large organizations and corporations. It's not like a lot of small businesses or medium-sized. It seems to be mid and higher cap companies, and so it's just one company that I saw on there was Zoom, which I thought was funny because I don't know. I thought it was funny because as I saw that it was Zoom on there, I'm pulling up past. I'm driving past the gym. Coming down, what's this road right here? College. And there actually used to be a Zoom office across the street from the gym.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was like a fake Zoom company. I didn't think it was actually Zoom, but it was just one of their satellite offices. And I actually have like 5 people at F45 that I coach that used to work at Zoom, but apparently they shut down that office, but still own are still running and utilizing the space for something else or leasing it out or something like that. So that's why they haven't taken down their sign. Anyways, I know y'all didn't ask for all that information, but how would you rate conversational AI sales training companies like as a market going forward? Would you give it a 10 or would you give it a 5 or would you give it a 1? 5, let's say, is average. It'll do okay. 10 is like this is going to be growing fast and has a lot of impact. 1, this is shit.
I would maybe give it like a 6 or a 7. I think that it's only going to be as good as the output in terms of like how well are we going to get feedback from this? How well is it going to actually train people? I mean, you can do role play all day and like get on a sales call and just completely bomb it. Like it doesn't matter. You can do 10, 15 different role plays. You can role play with everybody on the sales team and still get on a real conversation with somebody and be like, I don't know. So for me, role playing has its place, but I think really you're going to learn more from previous customer conversations and previous sales calls and listening to those recordings than you are from just doing that role play. Yeah. But if you can feed this role playing AI all of your previous sales conversations, now you're onto something.
Which is what I'm wondering. I got to do some more research on that. Which is what I'm wondering is like, how do they feed this? Do they have somebody internal that has to go in and put in all this information, or do you send all your like previous sales calls and sales emails in like some secured data file to this company, and they kind of create your AI solution for you? Like is it a custom solution, I guess is the question. Is it custom made for the company? One thing that I did see that was cool on there that kind of reminded me of a TikTok post you posted the other day about the Facebook avatar chatbots, like different avatars that they have, is that they also have different avatars. Like this is a black sales exec from this type of company. Like they have all the avatars listed on their main page. So I did think that was cool. Sales, role playing, conversational AI sales training industry for you to look into. Maybe build in, maybe go work for one of those companies, maybe do some research and come provide some game in our comment section. With that being said, we about to talk about Drizzy. First and foremost, how did you feel about the album? And then we'll transition to the real reason we're talking about Drizzy Drake.
Album was for the dogs. I loved it. Loved it.
Why? I gave it 2 listens. You said give it 2 listens, you might start to like it. I gave it 2 listens, and I'm like, there's only like one song that I was like, okay, I think I like it a little bit more, which is the something Virginia Beach. That one I did develop a new love rough, for,
just like Virginia Beach.
Yeah. And then I already liked 8 a.m. in Charlotte, like when they dropped it the night before.
You didn't like the Party Next Door feature. You didn't like you don't like First Person Shooter.
Nope.
You don't like the song with Chief Keef. Nope. You don't like the song that Chief Keef is. They did.
Actually, that was actually an okay project.
I don't like.
I mean, an okay song. It's a project.
He sampled Should I Don't Like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't like
I
that?
did like the Chief Keef song.
You didn't like
the J. Cole song was trash, in my humble opinion.
You didn't like the one with 21 Savage?
Trash.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were great. I loved all of them. I think there's like maybe 3 songs on there that I'm like, man, these are okay. There are 2 interludes that I don't listen to. BBL is kind of funny though.
What's going to happen, I already know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is there's going to be about 50,000 more reels over the next few months that I come across just scrolling through. Maybe it's a fitness workout. Maybe it's a background of like some sales video teaching me how to cold call. Whatever it might be, I'm just going to hear in the background some of these reels and these TikToks, some of these Drake songs, and they're going to slowly get in my ear, and then I'm going to start singing them. And then I'm like, you know what? These are cool. And then I'm going to start playing the project in about 9 to 10 months. That being said, Drizzy Drake created a company called Nocta. Okay, it's basically just gear, merchandise. Okay, I should probably mention this at the very beginning. They launched in a joint venture partnership with, or as a sub label of, Nike. Not Nike, Nike. All y'all British folks out there, you done know, bruv. Every one of you listening out there, it's not Nike. It's Nike, fam. It's Nike. Start speaking English correctly. Yeah, it's like that. Anyways, so a joint venture / sub-label of Nike. And we've seen Nike do this quite a lot. Partner with people who are cultural icons. We've obviously seen this happen with Adidas and Kanye actually had a relationship with Nike before he goes to Adidas a few years ago. So we've seen Travis Scott link up with Nike in terms of those Air Force Ones. I forget what they were called or whatever, but there was a little link up there. But they've oftentimes leveraged cultural icons to create products or sub-labels under the Nike brand, right? So they've done this with Drake, with Nocta. They got some Nike jumpsuits. They got some, they have some shoes. I forgot what the shoes are called, but they have a little shoes that they dropped that were kind of fire. They're dope. They look good on girls, not on guys, in my humble opinion. And now, the most recent product that I've seen, and I think it was just a sample. I don't actually think that the product's officially dropped, but I'm on TikTok and I see this man, Lil Yachty. I already knew it was Lil Yachty before I seen the handle and listened to the sound, because I seen toenail polish and nail polish, and I was like, there's only one black man that I know out there that do that. Which is no problem. All my young black kings that rock nail polish, get down how you get down. But there's only one man that I automatically think of, and he goes by the name of Lil Yachty. And so I turned the sound on because, Lil Yachty's always funny. You dig what I'm saying? And I also saw a random photo of Drake on a little paper bag, a little package. And then I listened to the sound, and Yachty pauses his music like, this man is crazy. Since when did Nike start doing products like this? And what it is a Nocta / Nike do-rag.
Ooh.
So for all the Caucasians out there that don't know what a do-rag is, if you ever seen black people out in public and they got that little black or colored thing that they got wrapped around their head, little silk, and it's like mad tightened and pulled down, it's to keep the hair and the vibes popping. You can either utilize it to get waves, which is why it's popular and why it's primarily used. And then number 2, you can use it to keep your braids clean. If you just got a fresh braid, just got some fresh hair and you just want to keep it fresh, you can put the do-rag on throughout the day to not expose it to the external world. And also you can wear it before you go to bed to make sure your hair stays fresh.
What's the difference between that and a wave cap for the Caucasian audience and myself?
So a wave cap is really just a lazy version of a do-rag.
Gotcha.
In my humble opinion. Obviously, there might be some people that disagree, but here, a wave cap you go buy from the store, you pull it over your head like a Scully.
Okay.
And then you're good. You know what I'm saying? You put your wave oils on and all that before bed. Boom, put that on. Take it off, brush. Boom, put it back on. A do-rag, they say that first off, they have a variety of different textures like polyester or silk or this, you know what I'm saying, that they don't really have with wave caps. Wave caps are typically like just one, like, what is it called? Product, like type of creation, whatever, type of material. There you go. And then on top of that, they just not as swagged out. It's just I still don't know how to tie a do-rag to this day. So when I cut my hair short, all I do is just get a wave cap because it's a lot easier for me to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Same thing with braids. I just put a wave cap over my head before I go to sleep.
It's like
I don't
the
know how to
Velcro
tie
to shoelaces.
Sure. Anyways, so do-rag, and it's Drake's face on there, and the quote, like the little tagline says, the tings love waves. And so I thought this was hilarious. I also thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about Nocta and the fact that it's a sub-label under Nike, and how we see some of these cultural icons partner with Nike to create sub-labels or companies or joint ventures to kind of help sell and get more attention to products and to the Nike brand. As we see in Adidas with what's her name? Beyonce. I think that was Adidas or Puma. But anyway, she did a little thing with them. We've seen Rihanna do the same thing with Puma, I believe. We've seen A$AP Rocky just do a collab with F1 Racing. So we see a lot of companies and brands tap into cultural icons or really talented creatives to kind of utilize them as a way to get to our community, in my humble opinion. Go ahead.
That's interesting. I think about that, and I think about that less as like influencer marketing and more about a creative way for these individuals that are, artists to express their creativity through brands that they already are passionate about and they already like, and just they wear. So why not get a little bit of equity in that, but also be able to put in your own creative equity and really just double down on that and capitalize. I'm waiting for the Taylor Swift cowboy boots. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those would go hard. I think white girls would eat that up. And I think even some dudes would too.
Zoom in on my face. Disgusting. Anyways.
It's not for you.
But yes.
I don't want your money, okay?
If my daughter ever tries to buy some Taylor Swift boots. Anyways, moving on from that. But yes, I do 100% agree with you in that. I never looked at it from that point of view, but that is pretty dope when you think about it. It's like, look, I love this brand already. I'm creative. I want to create a product. I want to create some dope shoes that I can rock. I want to create some dope jumpsuits that the homies can rock. I already know people in my community been looking for some swaggy do-rags. You know what I'm saying? Why not partner with? Exactly. So there's a young cat that I want to have on the podcast. I got to find his name. And if I can't have him on the pod, I want to just investigate his business. But he sells like a whole bunch of, I think they're polyester. No, they're silk. A whole bunch of different colored. Some have logos. Some are like just one color or multicolored do-rags that are silk. And he's like killing it. He's been killing it via TikTok, just like going crazy. I would assume he's doing like 10 to 20 M's like he's going crazy. All I know is based off the TikTok content, how many followers. I think they're like 30 something. Okay. 30 something a piece.
It's a good ticket size.
Yeah, so for
you
one,
probably buy more than one.
Yeah, for less than
order.
that.
Yeah. Order value is probably $60 plus.
Yeah, so it's pretty. Oh, I see what you're saying. But I was just thinking about like how much he purchases them for. I know he's not hand making them.
Oh, no.
But I'm saying like if you purchase that from overseas somewhere,
get high quality ones, you could probably get them for a couple bucks.
Yeah, probably like $5 or less, and you sell them for what's that? 6, 7x.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, crazy. So I want to have him on the podcast. But I thought that was funny. Go look up Lil Yachty's TikTok and go look at the Nocta / Nike drop. Also, if you want to know what Nocta means, it means nocturnal creative process. Drake called it that because Drake tends to do work late at night, sleep through the day. If you watch any of his interviews, he talks about how he sleeps up until like 2, 3, then starts to get his day active, then gets in the studio around like 7, 8, 9.
I thought that was
and then like goes overnight.
I guess that makes sense why he's got the owl and the OVO.
Exactly, because he's always been like nocturnal vibes. Okay. Hence why they called the company Nocta. Anyways, I want you to talk to me about Zuck and his wife. I tried to listen to that full podcast. I just couldn't make it through. So I don't know if you listened to the full or if you just got enough and then went and did some research on your own without listening to the full one. But nonetheless, Zuck and his wife go on a Huberman Lab podcast to talk about a new ting they're doing. Per usual with these billionaires, they're always striving for something grandiose, which I love. Might as well when you got that much money and access to resources. What exactly are they doing? What did you learn from that pod and from your research?
So the podcast is kind of split up into two parts. This is an interesting one because Huberman actually goes to them. So I guess they're on Facebook campus.
Reason it's interesting is because Huberman always does his at his spot in the same setup, in the same setting when he interviews people, or he does it virtually. A lot of his podcasts are solo episodes as well, and these solo episodes are always in the same spot. So,
but I guess when you're dealing with billionaires, you
got to do what they want.
Got to do what they want. So, so Zuckerberg and so Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan have, I guess, our college sweethearts, as you would call them. They have a nonprofit organization called CZI, the Chang Zuckerberg Initiative, and they have announced that they have an ambitious goal of curing or making all diseases curable or manageable by the end of the century.
What is the end of the century? Is that
2100?
That would be the start of the next century. So the end would be 2099.
Yes.
Okay, so that is 76 years from now.
Yep.
Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So about 75 years. You got 3/4 of the century.
They're going to be dead. So hopefully they got a...
I don't know. We might have better steroids by then, I don't know.
They might create that product.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, right? When they say that we want to make all disease curable or manageable, they're not actually going to go do that themselves. They are going to create tools and provide resources for scientists to enable them to go and reach this goal. So they are enabling the gold rush of the new frontier in health, which is finding cures to prevent all coronaviruses, right? Make sure that Parkinson's and all these other autoimmune disorders, diabetes, type 1, not type 2, is curable, right? Insulin-dependent individuals can, we can figure out how to reverse arthritis, all these types of things. And they want to create the shovels that are going to enable that gold rush. So they want people to be enabled and have those tools to be able to better, contribute to that goal of curing that. So the first half of the episode is Priscilla, Mark, and Zuckerberg talking about that and just talking about, some of the interesting discoveries that have happened like within just the past 10 years. One of them that I found really interesting was fat cells. So did you get this far? Yeah. So when you think of fat cells, it's like, oh yeah, it's just fat, right? It's just fat cells. No, there's like 18 types of fat cells. So like all this stuff is much more nuanced than we originally thought. And as we uncover more and more, like just the fact that there's 18 different fat cells, like, okay, now we've got 18 different ways to tackle the way fat is stored on the body, and what does that mean for the rest of human biology? I think it's great. I think it's really awesome to have that goal, and I think the way that they're going about it is going to help them reach that goal rather than just trying to tackle everything themselves. Let's just enable people that are already doing it and give them the resources and make them the champions.
And I hate to jump ship from that conversation so fast, but what it made me think of when you said they're building the shovels to enable the gold rush essentially, or help people find the gold. What are some other products out there, or platforms, or it can be physical, it can be digital, that fascinate you, that were like the shovel to a ditch and finding the gold, if that makes sense? So are there any? Let's see. I mean, for example, what we talked about in the car about Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about Wi-Fi, that enabled access, or you were sharing that it allowed them to really build out the laptops and really make them beneficial outside of just utilizing Microsoft Word and some other basic things you could download on your computer to utilize. But now we can do all the rest of this, which then allows you to code from here, which then allows this person to create this. You get what I'm trying to ask, though?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any product or any platform or anything that was created that kind of just created a gold rush in a certain industry, or allowed for that to happen?
Well, what's really created the gold rush for AI right now is all of these semiconductors, all of these chips. So we need all these chips to be able to process all the GPU, the graphic processing units, for all of the data and all of the software and all the code that's running to generate all this AI stuff that we're doing, right? Whether it's you're cloning voices, whether you're creating text, whether you're running and scanning like massive data sets yourself, right? On your own servers. You got to use AWS because you don't have that processing power just like stored in your storage room. That's insane. Nobody wants to do that. And that business model is not going away anywhere. So unless we just figure out how to make computers like the size of this that can, create analyze, trillion data point data sets, right? So I think of that one. I think of when like Scott Galloway talked about crypto a lot. He talked about Ledger, which is the hard wallets for crypto. Those being like the shovels and the picks for the crypto age. We're not there yet with crypto. It had its moment because everybody was bored during COVID. And very bored. Yeah, very bored and like very bored. Yeah, like they're just printing money. Like it had that, It
had the appeal.
Yeah, it had its moment. The situation was there for it to thrive and prosper. But now, we're looking at other applications for it. And I think there's a lot of applications for it within AI. But yeah, definitely the chips and that. And there's only like 4 chip makers. So if you figure out a way to get into chips and
there's only one that I ever remember that I'm blanking on right now, and it's just because anytime I watch a YouTube video where people are talking about companies you should invest in, they're like the semiconductor, and then there's like some leading company.
Is it NVIDIA?
NVIDIA. There we go. Such a pretty name.
That's the big one.
I might name my daughter that. NVIDIA. That's kind of pretty.
You're gonna sell it the same way?
Ayo, boss. Boss is my baby, ladies and gentlemen. So, ayo, boss, can we name our child NVIDIA? I'm just wondering. Anyways, if y'all think that would be a good name, comment below. NVIDIA, thumbs up. Anyways, okay. No, I love that. I do agree. I think the number one thing I think about is just what we were talking about in the car, which is just Wi-Fi. I think I'm kind of stupid, so like some things that people I just kind of naturally know are fascinating to me. So in the car, when you're like Wi-Fi was just ran on cables because what were you breaking it down to me? You're talking about Starlink.
Yeah.
So what is Starlink? And then let's just rehab that conversation, but on live air. Go ahead.
Sure. So I just read when I was doing a little bit of research for some topics for today. I read that Starlink wants to provide internet to I think Gaza. I don't know what party or whatever, but that was the headline that I'm recalling at this exact moment. So Starlink is one of Elon Musk's companies, and that company provides internet via satellite. So you do not need to be connected. So the way internet works now is it really just used to be all through wires, through Ethernet. So you would have the little square block that you would plug into a device, and then from there you were now internet enabled. So you could use the internet as long as this cable was connected. And that was really limiting, right? So back to the computer laptops, right? You could have a laptop. If you wanted to be online, you just had to plug it in, and you had to be connected online that way. And then if you unplugged it, well, you can still use Microsoft Word and create a PowerPoint and stuff because that's data stored locally. But if you had a code base that you were working on and you wanted to upload that into the cloud, you had to plug into the internet. Now we were like, well, hey, instead of plugging it into a computer, why don't we plug it into a router? And then the router distributes that wirelessly. So now you don't have to be plugged in. So now Wi-Fi just is router enabled.
It's just up in the air and shit.
Yeah, you've got a device that distributes it,
yeah,
but still through the wires and the cables that are being laid underground. With Starlink, it's through satellites. So the satellites distribute that signal from just orbiting the Earth. And then you've got physical devices that kind of look like routers that you just plug into the wall. And then they take that signal and distribute it.
Is that being used by consumers right now? Is there like whole communities where they just plug in a Starlink product, or what's it called?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's called Starlink product. They just plug it into their house. Like literally here in Kansas City, is there people that you think
in Kansas City, you probably don't need it because everywhere is on the grid. But if you're like in,
what do you mean everywhere's on the grid?
Well, you're on the power grid, right? You're on the power grid. They've ran cable everywhere. Google Fiber's here. You've got AT&T. You've got Spectrum. They've ran cable through.
You're saying it's not needed because there's just cables.
Yeah, you got access to that, right? You could get Starlink. Nobody would stop you.
But there's not really a need to because you have access to whatever you need.
Right. It's a little bit more expensive because of the ease of use for it. You just have this device, plug it into power, and you're good to go. If you're in like the north countryside of England, right, where like there's like no internet at all, you can use Starlink. Just plug it in. You'll be good.
Interesting. Okay. And so is that the whole point of that company? Just that?
Yeah, it's just to make Wi-Fi more accessible to the entire population. through satellites.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Because, see, I, for one, did not know how wireless or Wi-Fi or all this worked. But when I started putting it together in the car when we were talking, I'm like, oh, wow, that's something that, like, that creation was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, well, the wireless aspect. The wireless aspect was in the 2000s. And I'm like, that was recent. And that allowed people... That turned internet cafes into every single room in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is an internet cafe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We walk outside of McDonald's is the internet cafe. The seats outside of Quick Trip is the internet cafe. You know what I'm saying? Whereas internet cafes used to be, well, they still are in some countries, but destinations to go access the internet. Now, internet is almost accessible in any space that you're in for most people.
Yes, if you're in
at least in America.
Yeah, if you're in the 50% of Americans that are in cities, very accessible. If you're in the 50% that like don't even live in cities, they just live in like county land. Like, yeah, you're probably using Starlink for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
Got you.
And back to the what's picks and shovels.
Yeah.
I think one of the products we have on here. So instead of like AI software, we're going to pivot to like some physical AI products.
Okay.
One of them that we have is called Lucid. And it's spelled LUCYD. And these are actually prescription eyeglasses that are GPT enabled.
They look kind of fresh too.
So you can go to an optometrist. You can go to lucid.com and they have a store locator. And you can go to an optometrist that actually has these in stock and you can buy them from them. And some insurance companies will actually let you use your insurance for those frames. So these frames are like $200. They are GPT enabled, so you can just ask ChatGPT things, and it will just tell you out of a speaker, out of the frame. You can play music on them because they're Bluetooth enabled, so you can just connect to your phone and play some Spotify if you want to, or Apple Music, whatever your preference is. You can also get them in sunglasses as well, and you can even just order online if that's easier for you. But it's got a lot of applications for the adoption of AI.
So why didn't I know about this? Like, why isn't this like a nationally talked about company? This seems pretty damn innovative. I think we hear a lot about glasses being turned into like these crazy tech products that can talk to you, where you can like see where your outfit's from if I look at you and all this. But like, I feel like no company, just in the space in general, AI or not, no company has been able to like hit mass market appeal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You've heard of Google Lens?
Yes, we've heard about it, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
And I think that's one of the problems, right? Is like Google is a tech company, so they obviously have the technology for that. But when I think about Lucid, I think of them as an iFrame company. I think of them as actually making frames and being deeply embedded in the consumer eyewear space. So they've just tech enabled these and brought those features they actually disrupted the product.
Got you. Essentially, you're saying that Lucid is already in this world. They already function in the industry of eyeglasses, frames, and now they've just introduced a innovative tech side in, versus Google Lens or some of these other companies are not eyewear companies at all. They're not frame companies. They're not eyewear companies. They don't know shit about this. They just have the technology to create it, and they can they can create an internal team to go out there and create it, but they don't have an entire organization, industry knowledge department that's familiar with this to go out there and really interrupt that space actually.
Exactly. Because you visit lucid.com, you're like, oh, this looks just like every other eyewear company that I've seen. It looks like Warby Parker. It looks like Zenni. It looks like a place where I would order frames from. Yeah. If you visited like a Google site, like they would never have that. Yeah. It would never look like that. Yeah. Like, this is just tech. So it's super cool. I think I would definitely get a pair. I'm going to definitely look at a pair. My prescription's up for renewal in February, so I would definitely look at getting a pair.
You better call your insurance, boy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Call your insurance.
For sure.
Okay, interesting. So for those of you who are interested in checking that out as well, it is Lucid with a Y. So it's LUCYD.co if you want to check that out. Lucid also, if y'all happen to see like a big, influx of orders, we wouldn't mind a referral code, a discount code.
Give us an ad read.
Give us something. What's up? Give me money. All right, talk to me about rewind.ai. So you put Black Mirror records everything you said, but with privacy in mind. So is it like, does it listen to what you say, but then it's like, that sounds private, I'm not gonna I'm not going to notate that.
Yeah, so there's a Black Mirror episode where they have like this exact product where it just records everything that you say and that you hear. And you think about that like that, it's really scary. Like, I don't like that. Well, what Pendant does, and so Rewind.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
So Rewind.
Start over, because I've heard of Pendant, and I didn't actually know that's what this product was when I looked at what you wrote down initially. Yeah. But yes, explain how Rewind and Pendant are connected. So for those of you who are already in the business AI tech space, you might have seen Pendant go viral over the past few weeks. A lot of people were talking about it. It was popping up on, these little graphics people make on Instagram that says AI trying to interrupt your home or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll slide to the right, and you'll see a photo of them with like this black pendant. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Rewind is a company that makes Pendant, which is their physical product. But Rewind software actually just recorded everything you did on your computer. So you'd be like, man, what was that website I was at? Or like, what was that conversation I had with somebody on that call? I wish I had the notes for that. I should have recorded that. You can literally go into Rewind and search for whatever keyword, and it has all that information. And it's all stored locally on your computer, which is kind of a pain in the ass because, you're trying to save space on your computer. But again, it's your data. You have it on your device. It's not in the cloud. It's not going to, it's not going to get hacked or anything unless someone hacks your computer. Or, at which point, just shoot a hole in it and it's dead for, right? It's gone. But what they did is they took that idea and they made a physical product. So it's a pendant. You wear it around your neck. It's got like a little cylinder. It doesn't look like it's anything too bulky or anything, but it's got a microphone in it. And it actually detects, so the privacy in mind, right? It actually detects when people are opting in to be recorded. So if somebody says, sure, you can record me, it will actually record them. And if someone says, no, don't record me, their audio will not even be stored locally on the file, in that file. It'll just be if our conversation, you say we don't want to, no worries. It's just me talking. But what it also does is it actually doesn't record everything word for word. What it does is it takes that transcript and then summarizes it. So it summarizes everything and puts it into like a human summarized format. So you don't have every single detailed touch point. You just have a summary of it, which I think is better than like the extreme detail of every single word and sound.
I feel like the only value for this is in-person meetings, because there's already like 5, 6, and if there's 5 or 6 that I know of, there has to be like 70 softwares that you can integrate into Zoom or Google Meet that listen to your conversation, record it, transcribe it, summarize it, and like input it into your notes for you to like and title who's saying what. There's like, I know of like 6 platforms that do this on virtually, on Zoom calls, Google Meet. So I feel like with the pendant, it's literally doing the exact same thing, except you carry it everywhere you go. So if you're at Quick Trip talking to the fucking gas attendant, go ahead. Yeah.
So let's read the use cases, right?
Yeah.
So forget what your spouse asks you to pick up at the grocery store? No problem. Pendant's got your back. At an all-day conference and want to share summaries with your coworkers? Pendant's got you. Be more present in your day-to-day and bookmark moments for later. Amazing. I don't have to like actually pay attention and like remember that exact quote. My daughter or someone said, something funny. Daddy, I plugged it in. Can you plug it out? Like, that's so cute, right? You might want to recall that.
I don't know if that's cute. It's a little crazy, but
insights into your life. What are you doing when your voice sounds the most excited? What are you doing when you sound grumpy?
So is it recording at all times, 24/7? How does it know when to stop?
Yeah, as long as it's on. Yeah.
So you have to press on or something like that.
You have to charge it and turn it on, but yeah.
Okay, so you opt in, and then you can, if it hears off, like you can talk to it like Alexa, like don't record, and it'll automatically shut off. Okay, I guess I can kind of see the benefit of it. What I wonder is battery life. What I wonder is how much is the individual going to actually use this. What I wonder is who's going to go and look at their summary of all of their conversations that they had throughout a day. Every day, like sure. How much data is this going to take up on your laptop or on your phone or wherever it's being stored? Where is all this data being stored, especially after a year of conversations? You know what I'm saying? If you're that consistent about using it, I don't know. It sounds cool, but it seems like one of those products that sound cool that you like buy and use for a week, and then you set down on your counter and you lose it, and then you find it like 7 months later when you're moving to Portland, Oregon. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It sounds cool. What's your thoughts? I'd give it a 5 because I really feel like it is one of those pieces of hardware where you use temporarily and then forget that it even exists within 14 days.
I would give it an 8. I think the way that it can augment human intelligence and the way that we interact with the world has great ways to make us more productive and also just to save us time, right? I don't have to, like, for example, one of the other use cases is you can actually like just automatically create a to-do list for yourself. So anytime you make a verbal commitment to do something, it just adds it to your to-do list. So you don't have to think, like, what did I say I was going to do already? Like, oh, I did say I was going to do that. Okay, it's on my list, right? You don't have to think about it. You can always go back and reference those things, and the data's there. Instead of it not being there, you can always go back and just, you have that peace of mind. It's kind of like insurance, right? You just have that peace of mind. Like, I can go back and reference that, and it's still there. It's still usable. I don't think it's for everybody. I think it's definitely more for professionals and people that are productivity driven. The average person probably doesn't have too much to benefit from it, but those that are leaders in their space, they're executives at their company. You're in a sales role, you have a lot of different responsibilities, and things are moving around a lot. I think it has great implications for you, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of implications, I think there is something that a lot of people, and you mentioned this in your notes, don't think about when they think about TikTok. It's not just a platform where you go on and you consume and get entertained. It is what you say to be and what others say to be and what I agree for it to be, because I used it in this way right before we came in today, a discovery platform. And when we think about a discovery platform, most people think about Google, in which you wrote down Google as an information platform, which I also agree, which is also how I look at ChatGPT now. I think ChatGPT is the new information platform. Google is secondary to that. And then TikTok and Twitter are our discovery platforms to learn more about a specific thing that's happening in the world, to learn more about a topic, about a brand, about anything we're looking for by searching the hashtag and finding all the content that's been posted around that. So I would love for you to dive in that, and we'll use that as our wrapping point, as I feel like that'll be a great place to end, since people are constantly trying to learn how to use TikTok in new ways and understand the benefits of the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So this conversation is really focused around an article I think was written about a year ago that says Gen Z is using TikTok for search before going to Google. It was about, I think, 50% of Gen Z was doing that. And I found that really interesting. I found that the way that Gen Z is using the internet, I think they're obviously more inclined to video content, and they're just used to that experience. I would say that TikTok is really great for, for sure discovery, right? Like the same way that you would probably use Pinterest, you would probably type in a topic and then just want to get fed stuff about that. Not necessarily have to think, because you don't actually know what you're looking for.
Right.
But you do know that, like, this is what I have in mind. Let's just kind of see what's out there and see what the almighty algorithm gives us.
Yeah, which is funny because yesterday, Boss's cousin comes over. He wants to get his T-shirts cropped by Boss. So Boss cuts them to crop them, and he's trying to find like examples of people, men wearing cropped T-shirts and what he's looking for, and just typed crop T-shirt gang or something like as a hashtag into TikTok, and came up with like plenty of examples to like reference and look at what he's looking for and like see the trend. Is this a trend? Like, I feel like that's also, a great way that, Gary Vee talks about how to like find business ideas, or how to find out what's going on TikTok in terms of, or Instagram in terms of how to post content. And you can just like search a hashtag and see, you can literally see how many videos have been created about this, how many videos have been created around this song, around this hashtag, and you can kind of decide this is the type of content I'm going to use. So it's like you discover this new information, you discover this new knowledge, you discover whatever you really want to look for. I mean, like you said, whatever the algorithm puts up there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be specific either. You can be like very broad, and it'll help you get specific.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think TikTok's really good for that, because it's the way that TikTok's business model is they just want to keep you on the platform. Google's more inclined to give you the best result,
and
to build
send you away, right? Yeah.
And give you the information that you need, so you'll come back and search for it. But also give you information that's a website that has Google Display Network on there as well, so we can give you some ads at the same time. But to the same avail, TikToks are indexed by Google. So you can go and like type, if you're savvy with your Google searches, you could put in quotes TikTok and then search for that specific phrase or whatever category, whatever information you're looking for, and just get a bunch of TikToks about it too. So I just think that it's not the best way to get information. It's definitely the best way to get something that's on more the creative side of things. And then like if you go to Google and you're like looking for I need information, I need facts, I need to learn something, and Google's just not giving you that information, then you would go to ChatGPT.
Yep. I agree. Shout out ChatGPT, shout out TikTok, shout out Google, all amazing platforms that we use in our day-to-day life. Ladies and gentlemen, what I need you guys to do is, if you haven't yet, press that notification button, press the subscription button, leave a comment in the comment section, share with a friend, because that is the only way we can grow. This has been yet another episode. And before we sign out, Milad, go ahead and plug them. Where can they follow you on TikTok or Instagram? And then we are going to wrap for the day.
You can follow me at MJ Ghassem.
Look them in the camera.
You can follow me at MJGHASEM on Instagram.
Okay. He's starting to post more content. Proud of him. Go check out those clips if you're interested in digital marketing, AI, all things in that world. You can find me at Collis Stutzer, COLLIS, or preferably just Voices of Value Podcast. Signing out.